All right. Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hi.
Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. Tonight at Left Bank Books, we are very excited to celebrate the launch of Erin and Stephen Mitchell's Too Tired to Fight, 13 Essential Conflicts Parents Must Have to Keep Their Relationship Going. Some notes before we begin tonight. Today's event is only possible because of all of your support. When you support Left Bank Books, your money goes directly into the local economy. So it funds our streets and parks and libraries and everything else that makes St. Louis amazing. It also allows us to give authors the support that they deserve and to put on events such as this. So thank you all for shopping local and being here tonight. Hi, everybody. We do have a pretty full crowd tonight. If you're comfortable and able to kind of scrunch together, if there's any spare seats in between, we'd appreciate that. Everybody joining us from wherever you may be tonight in our virtual audience, thank you so much for being here. You'll be able to participate in the Q&A at the end of our event tonight by typing your question as a YouTube comment, so thank you for being here. We at Left Bank Books are always hard at work to plan new events for readers of all ages. Of note, on July 31st, we'll have James Patterson. We've got tickets on sale on our website. He's written a billion books. There is bound to be one that you love, so join us for that. Full event calendar is on our site at left-bank.com, as well as information about that event. For tonight, Erin and Stephen Mitchell are the co-founders of Couples Counseling for Parents, a company focused on providing access to research-informed, psychologically sound online education for couples. Both have a clinical education, Stephen a PhD in medical family therapy, and Erin a master's degree in counseling psychology. They have combined 23 years of experience providing counseling and education, and they have been married for 16 years and have 3 children. Their new book is Too Tired to Fight, 13 Essential Conflicts Parents Must Have to Keep Their Relationship Strong. Parenting changes a couple's relationship in fundamental ways. Most parents are exhausted from the demands of life, work, and engaging with their kids. This can lead to repeated conflict in the relationship and an overwhelming sense of anxiety, anger, hurt, and loneliness just when you need your partner's support the most. The good news is conflict is actually a sign that you are trying to connect with your partner. You're just stuck in an old pattern of communication. This book will show us how to turn to 13 common relationship fights in order to find closer connection. Eve Rodsky, the author of Fair Play, says, Too Tired to Fight provides practical guidance for couples to improve their communication skills. This book is an incredible toolkit that offers tangible examples to navigate tricky situations and build stronger relationships. By following their strategies, couples can foster a deeper understanding and resolve their conflicts effectively. So, for a fantastic, educational, and brilliant event, please join me in welcoming Erin and Steve.
I'm going to say that I feel more comfortable that way. I feel way more nervous than I anticipated that I would feel being here. So just full disclosure. But we are really grateful for everyone being here. Of course, Erin's family always shows up. My family always shows up. In Belleville always shows up as well. We even have our good friend from New York who showed up as well. So really grateful for y'all being here. I think one of the things I wanted to acknowledge to start off is that, hi, Siemens. This book, I was thinking about it. So Erin and I obviously have known about this book for about 2 years. And it's kind of just been this thing that has been in our life. And it's a really strange thing to see the book actually be a real thing. But I was thinking about it, and I realized that this book holds in it a really important legacy. And the legacy is that there was this woman by the name of Betty Baker who eventually married Leeds Watson. And one of the things that Betty Baker said that she always wanted to do was write a book. And it was just something that she had inside of her. And for other reasons, good and probably disappointing for Betty, she wasn't able to write a book. But Betty then had a daughter by the name of Kathleen, better known as Pfaff, or Faffo, or Alma to our kids. And something that Pfaff always wanted to do was write a book too. And for reasons good and probably disappointing for Pfaff, she was never able to. And one day, Erin came up to me and she said, "Stephen, I want you to write a book." And I turned to Erin and said, "I don't want to write. That's not something that I've always wanted to do." But Erin said, "You know what? It is something that I've always wanted to do." And so there's something that flowed through the generations, from Betty to Kathleen to Erin, to want to write. And I remember turning to Erin and saying, "Well, I'm not going to write a book. You could write a book." And Erin said, "Okay, I'll write a book." And that began the process of Erin pursuing this whole thing. Granted, I did write some of it. It was a 50-50 writing project. But the reason we have a book and the reason this book is here is because of Betty Baker, Kathleen, Bunsen Watson, and Erin. And I really do want to acknowledge that Erin is the one who made this happen. She deserves that recognition. And I also want to acknowledge that her dad would be really proud of it. And he would think that it was phenomenal that his daughter would have built it. We also wanted to acknowledge our kids. Leeds, Ezra, and Colton. Writing a book is not easy on them. In fact, I think that they would all say that they did not like that we were writing. It took a lot of time and a lot of energy away from them, and I think that was challenging. So we were grateful that they let us write. And really appreciate the voice very much. So this is the book. I don't know if there's anything that you have in your mind and heart to say. I think another thing too, like Erin and I, we wrote this book because we had problems when we had kids. We didn't have problems because of our kids. We had problems because having kids is beautifully overwhelming. And we thought that we would be really, really good at communicating. I do have a PhD, Erin does have a master's. We do this for a living. We are going to be really, really good at communicating and loving each other with kids. And we wanted to be. We really wanted to be. I can say that. But we had a hard time. We had a really hard time, and we were like, why all of a sudden are we not getting along? Why all of a sudden do we feel levels of resentment and anger and difficulty with each other that we did not feel before we had kids? And we tried to figure out those answers and tried to look for help, and we just didn't find anything that felt like it fit. And so we decided to give people what we wish we had, what we thought might be useful. The things that professionally we learned, but also the things practically that we discovered as parents as well. And now we don't fight, and now our relationship is just awesome. But we worked through it. So this was like the first 2 years after having kids. This is really all this covers, because it's been 14 years of bliss post then. But that's what this book is. It is our effort to help, and we hope it's helpful. We are proud of it. It took a lot to write and do. And we like the cover, and we like everything about it. And I think that that's the intro. So kind of what happens next is we're supposed to read some of the book. Erin's going to do that because she's a better reader than me. We were told. So we recorded the audiobook for this, which is a fascinating experience. You sit like in this chair with this mic in front of your face, the book on an iPad, headphones on, and someone talks to you, and like a director. And so you're reading, they're like, oh, go back, and maybe say it like this, or oh, you kind of miss that word. It was crazy. I think the director was in LA, but we were doing this in Denver. And so what we came to find out, we've heard some feedback from some people who've heard the audiobook that Erin did a better job than me. So I'm not going to read out loud.
You do get that feedback.
I feel a little insecure. And Erin is going to read out loud.
Sure.
Right, buddy? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then after she reads a little bit, there'll be kind of like a open questioning. Ask us anything you want to know. And then I think we sign the books and that kind of stuff. Okay.
I will read. I'm ready.
Okay.
You need to like turn around and face that. Maybe. That's strange.
Do you want me to do that?
No. I mean, that's my job. Okay, I can do this. Too Tired to Fight. I'm going to read the introduction.
Yeah. Read whatever you want.
Great.
Go ahead.
So this is from part 1, which is why conflict is good for your relationship and how to do it the right way. So the introduction. What kind of couple relationship do we want to have? Imagine a situation where you find yourself pushed to the breaking point. Maybe it's first thing in the morning, you were up with your child several times during the night. Now you're exhausted, getting breakfast ready for everyone, and your partner comes into the room and casually says on the way out the door, hey, I think I forgot to tell you, but I have a work trip the last 2 days of this week. Can you feel your body tense just imagining this scenario? You can feel your insides turn, your blood boil, and a deep feeling of loneliness wash over you. Over the course of your parenting journey, you felt more and more disconnected from your partner, and this is just one example of many in which you feel unseen and unknown by them. How'd you get here? You set out to be a harmonious family, happy, unified, and strong. And you want your kids to learn what a healthy relationship looks like by observing the two of you together. You don't want to fight. Yet as time passes, you find more than anything that you're just trying to make it to bedtime without irritating the other too much. Now imagine that instead of absorbing this surprising news into your body and getting hot with rage at your partner, instead of erupting in anger, you choose a different path. You use this difficult, challenging, and yes, irritating moment to instead find connection. You work through this difficult situation together, and in so doing, you model conflict that leads to connection for your kids. It probably seems impossible, right? Well, it doesn't have to be. Pass.
Where'd you start? Okay. We are Erin and Steva Mitchell, partners in life as well as in our business, couples counseling for parents. Parenting changes even a strong relationship in all sorts of ways, and even couples who are on solid ground before the kids arrive can feel absolutely rocked and unsteady afterward. This isn't easy, but it is normal. We've talked with thousands of couples over the years, and all of them have experienced this disconnected feeling at one point or another. When they share their hopes and dreams for their family with us, we hear over and over some variation of these two statements. We know our couple relationship is the foundation of a healthy family, and it's harder than ever to make each other laugh and enjoy each other's company now that we're dealing with the day-to-day drudgery of parenting. You're not alone. Parenting can be messy and unpredictable. It can also bring you closer together as a couple, if you let it. What these couples are really saying to us is, in the midst of all this stress, we're struggling to remember we like each other. Can you help us? We have 3 kids of our own. We know these struggles firsthand. We know the amazing upsides of parenting, the quiet moments of sitting down together and reveling in the beauty and wonder of the children we're raising. We also know what it's like to lose our patience with our kids and with each other. We know what it's like to look at each other and say, really? You're tired? Well, let me tell you about my night. We know what it's like to feel like the person you want more than anyone in the world to understand and empathize with what you're going through for some reason just doesn't. But thankfully, we also know what it's like to regroup as a family and a couple after these moments and talk about what it means to repair. Take a moment and reflect on the following. What do I want for my family? What kind of relationship do I want to model for my kids? What kind of relationship do I want to have along the bumpy, beautiful road of parenting? When my kids are grown and out of our home, what kind of relationship do I want to have with my partner? If you're like us, you want to show your kids how to support and love one another on the good, bad, and truly awful days. You want to show them their parents can have a conflict with each other, but that the partnership can still remain strong even amid disagreement. And you want to remain close with your partner even in the midst of those chaotic parenting moments, knowing the two of you are ultimately on the same team. This is why we wrote Too Tired to Fight, to help parenting partners transform these messy moments of conflict into experiences of healthy resolution and repair, and to give couples the skills to turn conflict into connection.
Who is this book for? Too Tired to Fight is for all parents in romantic relationships looking for help and connection. Maybe you bought this book in the middle of the night when you were the only one awake, feeding your baby, feeling alone and unsupported. Maybe you're a couple with older kids and you realize you've been waiting and hoping your communication would get better once they got a little more mature, but the problems remain. Maybe you bought this book because the resentment you feel towards your partner is eating away at you, and you worry that your marriage is going to crumble under the weight of it. This book is designed as a tool for you to work through the conflicts with your partner and come out on the other side feeling connected and stronger than ever. The ultimate goal is not being too tired to fight. We want you to come away from Too Tired to Fight knowing you're not alone when seemingly small things turn into stuck communication patterns, resulting in dead-end dialogues. The solutions we present in this book will allow you and your partner a better option than just trying to make it to bedtime. We're sure that you can find connection through the conflicts you will inevitably face as parenting partners. We also know that after you practice these communication skills with your partner, you'll have a better sense of how to know and love your partner, and in return, be known and loved by your partner. You'll also get to model healthy communication for your kids and enjoy laughter with your partner again.
And so if you read the book, like I said, you'll never have any more problems. It's pretty great. But yeah, so that's all you can tolerate.
I feel like that seems good.
Yeah, felt good, felt great.
Felt
Great
good.
to me.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think the next,
Q&A.
yes, but is that me and you asking one another some questions?
Sure.
Erin, what did you think I did so well in the book? Like, what really like shone about who I am as a person?
Stephen and I have joked since we wrote this book that I wrote 100% more than I expected to write, and he also wrote 100% more than he expected to write.
This was not my idea to write this book. I didn't ask to write the book. I didn't want to write the book. And so Erin's like, I got this great idea. We're going to write a book. And I was like, so you're going to write a book. And
I thought, so you're going to write a book.
yeah, and so, right. And so we got the book deal. And then she was like, okay, so write the book. And I was like, it's not even my idea.
I had a great outline.
Yeah. And so it was quite an endeavor to navigate working out how to write a book together. It was actually a perfect example of what we were trying to
model.
Yes, model. But it really was, I think, the fun part was we actually did find what we did well.
Yeah.
And it ended up that we really did support it pretty much down the middle. I probably wrote 51%. Yes.
Sure.
But yeah, I think we're supposed to have question answers. People have like ask questions. Again, I have a really hard time. I'm gonna say that. Yeah. I can't see anybody. All I can see is these.
Does anybody, oh yeah, Luke Brunsman.
Oh, yeah.
Were you guys ever too tired to fight about writing Too Tired to Fight?
Yes,
Oh man.
all the time,
Yeah.
I would say. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
No.
We probably wrote the book, actually wrote the book for about 12 months. And I would say the first 6 months was trying to figure out how to write the book.
Yes.
Who was better at what, who wasn't good at what. I kept trying to, each chapter, each of the 13 conflicts has a case example. So it's Stephen and Erin and an example. And I wasn't good at it. I couldn't think of these examples. I would struggle. I would spend 5 hours. Stephen would take the boys to do something for a whole Friday. He would come home and what'd you do? And I'd show him my 3 sentences. And he'd be like, that's what you got done today. And then he would sit down and in 45 minutes write out a whole case example.
And vice versa. So then Erin would be like, okay, so you write these other sections that are a little more, I guess.
Describe the feelings.
Describing the scenarios. And I would do the same thing. I would spend all this time on it. I would do it. And the moment I gave it to Erin and she started reading, I'm like, she's disappointed. She's no good. I wasted all this time. And she was like, seriously? Seriously? This is what? And in that experience, we're like, tell you what, how about we swap what we're doing?
Yeah.
I'll do this part, you do that part. And then from that, I think from that, we really wrote the book pretty quickly. Is that what you said? But it was really hard. It was actually really a hard thing to do.
To co-write a book. Well, to write a book, period, but to co-write was a challenge for us.
Yeah. I knew I felt like I was letting Erin down.
Coulter, Mitchell.
Well, because first of all, I like to move around because it makes my anxiety go someplace. And I want to see you kids.
Yeah. There you go. Was it difficult narrowing it down to 13?
That's a good question. Yes, honestly it was. So we tried to, like some of them, like the one that stands out is like how to make a big decision conflict. So we use the case example of someone who's just had a baby trying to decide if they're going to go back to work. But and later on in the chapter described like that could also be like choosing to take a promotion or moving closer to family or any big decision. So we tried to do all possible fights and then sort of make them generalizable into categories.
But yeah, they felt thematic from like all the conversations that we've had with couples and then also from our Instagram community, just what people respond to and resonate with the most. And so there's a lot, but we also, they have a page limit on books. And so there's like 13. These are the top 13.
Yes.
Are you gonna tell us if anyone in this room is in this book?
Susan's chapter 7. I don't know what chapter 6.
Some of our friends were like, I want to be in the book. And so we just used their names as the.
Like our next door neighbor, Carrie. She asked if she could be married to some tennis player named Mateo. That's a real thing. Yeah.
But no, they're all a compilation of things. They do not reflect. Couple, yeah. So, and to be quite honest, there are things that we've had every one of these, and so I think we're also part of the compilation of the case examples.
Are there any quotes from the 3 boys in the book?
No.
I don't think so.
Well, probably, but not on purpose. I'm sure they've said some of the things.
Yeah.
It's really, so it is for parents, but really it's just a relationship book. It's a communication book. So yes, it's the context of parenting, but like the kids aren't, like I forget how you said it earlier, but I was like, oh, I liked the way you said that. We aren't fighting because of our kids necessarily, but it's also because of our kids, the context of being parents.
Yeah.
So yes and no.
Is your mom in the book?
Her name is, we dedicated it to her.
Did you put a deadline to when you wanted to be finished with this?
Thankfully, we had that from the outside. There was a
The
hard
publisher.
deadline.
We want it now. We want it at this point.
It is good.
Yeah, and you can't really go. You can maybe go like a week or 2 past what they ask. But we really want them to like us.
Yeah.
We want them to want us to write another book and those kinds of things. And so we really try to keep to what they ask. So we did a good job.
We have one from the virtual audience. I've always believed parenting should be an opt-in decision, not the default of what you do next as a married couple. Do you have advice for people deciding if they will have kids and what factors should be weighed?
Yes, I agree completely. I think for a long time that was very much the next step and the expected thing to do. But I think it does go better if everybody does opt in to use their language. But yeah, I think all couples should consider. I think the questions what couples need to consider are different, couple to couple. Stephen and I are going to think about things differently than the next couple. But I think some of the things to weigh in is what are our hopes and our fears. I think is sort of always the two things people are weighing when they make a major decision. So what do we hope our future looks like, and what are we afraid of? So if we do have kids, this is what I hope that looks like. If we do have kids, this is what I'm afraid we'll lose or will be taken away. And then if we don't, same things. And I think when those conversations are open and the questions and answers are actually welcome, I think you can have great conversations.
Yeah, because I think if you're oftentimes what happens is couples don't express their hopes or their fears, and what they do is just start reacting to one another. They feel like the other person is sort of raining on their hopes, or the other person is sort of activating their fear, and so they have to tell each other those things first so that they can understand what they're reacting to. And then if you understand that, then you actually get to choose. Do we want to do this? As opposed to I'm just trying to
Be reactive.
protect myself or get something that I want. And it is. That's true.
How would you recommend that we read the book? Like, is it important to read it, from beginning to end, or is it like you could go to whatever conflict is like maybe most resonant in your own relationship, and you could read the conflicts in any order? How would you recommend it?
Yes, I think I would say read the first 2 chapters.
Yeah.
And then you can jump around because the first 2 chapters kind of lay out like some fundamental, foundational thoughts about relationships, and then yes, and the other chapters are sort of, maybe it applies to you, maybe it doesn't.
And then another question we've had similar to that, but you didn't actually ask, was like if you have to read it with your partner. And I think it's definitely like an individual growth book. It doesn't just have to be something that Stephen and I make time to sit down and read together. But it's really at the core of becoming parents, so much of what happens is you lose yourself and you're finding yourself, and it's a big identity change. And so you're trying to communicate when you don't really know what you're trying to communicate. And so it's really a personal book, but if you're able to do that with your partner, it's definitely an opportunity for connection and growth. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be we sit down on Tuesdays, and if you do that, good for you. I think well done. But that's hard to come by. So it's an individual book. It's a couple book. It's just a good growth book. Ryan Noble.
Will you co-author another book, and if so, what would the topic be?
Good question. Good.
Yes, is the answer to that. So
We sure hope to.
yeah, well, yes, we sure hope to. It's actually just a really interesting process. So you have an agent, the agent who helped us with this book. We are no longer working with. We found a different agent, and we have talked to them. And your goal is for this to go well, so that your publisher likes you and says, write another book. So far, so good. We think that they're interested in it. And the next kind of area that we're thinking about is like grandparent and in-law relationships, and how to help couples navigate those relationships, and for like also a book for grandparents to understand how to navigate those relationships too, because there's a lot of like this is what couples should do, but not really any books for grandparents, and so that's the next.
And everybody wants those relationships to go well, but it's not always very clear how to have that happen.
Yeah, we hope to. We honestly like.
It's been great.
Yeah, we hope.
Don't ask our kids.
Yeah, we hope that this is what we get to do. That this is more of what we get to do. We enjoy sort of what we're doing now, but we'd like to write more, and speak more, and do this kinds of things.
Have you enjoyed being on television? How did that go?
Yeah. So another.
It's a lot easier than speaking to a room full of people you mostly know. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that right now. Yes.
So we have been fortunate enough, so we have been on we've been on live TV, so we did Daytime Chicago, which is a show for WGN in Chicago. We're gonna go back and do a show, which, aren't we gonna do?
It's Today Chicago.
Oh, we're gonna do a different show in Chicago, but it's been really interesting. It has been really fun. It's amazing to see how people do that kind of job, like just even the anchors and stuff. Like they are really good at their.
And that Chicago show, they were talking to us. They're counting down. You can see the countdown, and they're very clearly trying to keep you connected and engaged with them. But the one woman sitting closest to me was talking, and did not pause and was talking to the camera. It's just like, I don't know how that happened.
But we had this really cool experience. So we've been able to do the TV stuff, but we've also done a bunch of like live radio, like you call in on the phone and they interview you. And yesterday we did one with I don't forget what the show's called, but Bob
Do you
Ramsey.
remember? What is it called? Do you remember?
550 KTRS.
Yeah. But Bob Ramsey was one of the hosts, and Bob Ramsey, he used to do Cardinals radio. I think I just listened to him. When we lived here, I listened to Bob Ramsey all the time, and I was like, that's Bob Ramsey. It was
We
really
didn't know their names
so
when we went
exciting.
on, and they asked us a question, and Stephen answered back, "Well, Bob," and I looked at him like, I honestly thought he was making it up. And I was like, "Why would you say that?" But it all went, and afterwards, like, why? He's like, "That's his name." I could tell by his voice.
It was a little fan moment. But yeah, we have enjoyed doing that. And it's a little nerve-wracking. We get to go from here, we're going to go to New York and do a live interview.
On the Today
NBC.
Show?
New York Daily News.
Yeah, on NBC.
You talk to our manager.
News, or something like that, yeah. So it's the afternoon big show.
Fantastic.
NBC, yeah.
Yes.
So that will be fun.
But those are a lot less nerve-wracking than this.
I don't know, they make me nervous, for sure.
You're good at it, though. You're both good at it. Yeah.
And
Very
Stephen,
good.
you're broken like a family.
That'll be
Just
okay.
fine. Who arranges all of that?
So,
Our publicist, Ashley Hewlett, thank you very much. She works for Putnam, who published the book, and they are helping all of this. She arranged all of this. She's
yeah.
So how many people do you have? Publicist, agent?
there's a marketer.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah,
We
she's
can't hear
what's-
back here.
Oh, yeah.
Please repeat the
Like
question.
Who's the team?
who kind of organizes like the TV things and the radio things, and so Penguin has like a publicity team that organizes the shows and TV. We also have another publicist that we work with that does some other things. So they both do it.
We specifically within the Penguin world, we were with Putnam. And so we have an editor, we have an assistant editor. The editor was the first person we met with who we pitched the book to. And she came back, and her name is Michelle Howery. In our very first meeting with her, she came with notes for what she would change, all sorts of things. And when we got off the phone, our agent said, a lot of people don't like that. Was that okay? And we were like, she's who we want. Anyone who's interested in making this book better.
She seems really good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
her ideas were great. We'll go with those.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there was an assistant editor who helped a lot with the back and forth of the first draft, the second draft, the 39th draft, the
Wow.
on and
Yeah.
on.
That's the thing. So we sent this off. We kind of we did
We were just noting today, a year ago today, we got our first round of edits back.
yeah. Then they send it back to you, and it's like, oh, that wasn't it, was it? And then you do that, and then you send it back, and it's a lot
Back and forth, back and forth. Yeah.
Are they very specific about the changes they want, or do they just generalize them?
Kind of both, which I think is.
I've
doesn't
never
make
seen
sense.
so much red in a document. Where I was like, did we even write the book? It was like,
High school
like-
teacher.
No, that's right, that's right. I think a lot of it, they would say at the end, like, if we would go back and forth, like, I really prefer this, or this kind of misses the meaning now. They absolutely deferred to us every single time. And would sometimes say, but could you consider it again? Because we think it would read
Yeah.
better this way, or
Wow.
I don't like that word choice. And we had that back and forth a few times.
Yeah. But I mean, they were
Excellent,
excellent, like it makes the book
so much better,
so much better.
for
Without
sure.
a doubt.
Yes.
So,
You're all very happy that they were a
Yeah.
part of this team.
Yeah.
It's definitely better.
Yeah.
And then there's Molly who does the marketing. So she has sent us a lot of like our Instagram posts that are very obviously different from ours. They're hers. But like to promote the book specifically.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of people. And then there's Jasmine. She coordinated all the travel. And
Yeah.
yes, it's great. You just show up. It's really nice.
Yeah.
I think that's perfect.
Is the audiobook available?
The audiobook is available. It should, yeah.
It's available.
Like I said, we've already received some feedback from people who listen to it.
Whose voice is it?
So it's actually really cool. Another, I mean, this is probably not really cool to you, but cool to me. So in the audiobook, we read it, but we have a bunch of like dialogue in it between like couples and then us. And so they hire actors to read the dialogue, and then they sent us the audio for the various actors, and they said, you know, you can pick which actors you want to be in the book. And we heard one of them, and we're like, we know that guy because he was the narrator for a book series that we listened to as a family.
Our kids
it's like
are
a Rick Riordan
easily
series.
most impressed with that fact. Like
And-
that
and
guy.
I was like, I know that
your
guy.
book.
Yeah, so we're like, he's gotta be in it because he was like, we listened to, 30, 40 hours of his voice
Yeah.
on a road trip. And so it was just kind of really cool. I thought. So, yeah. So yes, it is available. That's a long answer.
So Stephen, it sounds to me like you're totally on board. It was a great idea, right?
It was a fantastic idea. And it really was like, so again, I'll just kind of, so to write a book, you have to be able to sell a book. And so the way that someone knows that you can sell a book is if you have a market. And so that's why it's important to have like some kind of social media presence of some kind. Because oftentimes publishers are like, who are you gonna sell it to? And you're like, I don't know, we got a lot of friends. I think it's a really good book and really capture everybody's imagination. It's probably not gonna be the thing that's gonna work.
Well, to be perfectly honest, we met with Ryan Noble
That is,
5 years ago, probably around this time, and this was one of the things we said we wanted to do. Steven said he wanted to speak, I said I wanted to write a book, and Ryan basically said that to us, like, great, I'm sure it would be so good, and I will read your book. But that, you know,
nobody else is going to.
yeah, and he very clearly laid out a path for us, and like to the T, we have followed his advice, and it has been really, really, really life-changingly beneficial for us.
That is true.
Forever.
Yeah. And so Erin followed Ryan's kind of like build a market, and Erin built a market on social media, and built it like quickly and huge and big, and so that's what allowed us to then, even be able to propose a book idea. So it's a really great idea.
To Ryan.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm on board too, for sure.
Yes, it was great. I'm so happy we did it. We sat down to write the next proposal, and I honestly said out loud, why would we do this? I forgot how miserable this was for a little while. And then it's really fun and exciting, and then it's really, it is very vulnerable to write a book. You're going to learn so many things about us as you read it, which again, I'm very comfortable having strangers know. But you're laying yourself out over and over and over and over, and you learn a ton about yourself.
Well, and also, it's your ideas, right? It's like, this is what we think, and this is like what we believe in, and either people agree with that or they don't, and they accept it or they don't, and it's like, in some ways, if you don't accept it, it's like, well, then, like, do I know what I'm talking about or not, or maybe, maybe none of this is helpful, and so it is very, very vulnerable for sure. But
What was the hardest conflict to write about, like maybe in terms of the vulnerability that it required?
We might answer the same. That's a good question. Some of them were very easy to write about because we have them so intensely, some of these conflicts, and some of them we didn't. We have experienced some degree of all of these things, but certainly not intensely.
Well, and also we feel very differently about sharing our personal information. I feel fine sharing our personal information and
Just not.
at all. Really, personal information. And so I didn't find like writing, I was like, oh man, I don't know, like I don't want to say this. In fact, I might have even been like, you should say more. And was like, that's enough.
I would have been happy to not have any personal anecdotes in there. But Michelle Howery, back to the editor, she said very clearly, this book, you have to say how this has impacted you.
Yeah.
But had it been Stephen alone asking me to do that, it would not be in there.
That's true.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have questions?
Thank you all very much for coming. Did anybody have any other questions? Oh, yes.
I'm sure Faffy and Betty are looking down from heaven and preparing for house.
Very, very pleased. I imagine so too. Thank you. But thank you all for coming. Thank you for hosting us. This was really, really good.
Thank you all so much for coming. If you haven't got your book yet, we have got them at the front desk. And then we'll move the table here and everybody can get their book signed. So thank you all so much.